I can't breathe. It's freezing. Where am I? Help! Help! Uncle Owen! Don't shoot!
What are you doing in here?
I'm looking for Father Paul.
He's standing right there.
Right there.
Here's my home. Welcome.
Right? Father Paul Mullen. Simple, peace-filled, heroic, sensitive, aware. All qualities to describe this mystic in our midst. We're going to the chapel.
I was a priest for 30 years. For 30 years, I was happy. I was doing a great job, running a big parish. But I also realized that when I stopped to pray, I needed to have a better sense that the Lord was with me. And when I got that better sense that the Lord was with me, it was on sabbatical. A guy said to me, "Of course you're a mystic." And I said, "Come on." And I talked to the older priest that I was working with, and he said, yeah, we talk about it all the time. You see God in everything. I needed the affirmation of somebody like that to assure me that I was really seeing God in everything. It took all those years. But I dealt with my early years of anxiety, so I didn't think I was good enough to do this job. And so it took all those years. And I think if people could get comfortable with the fact that this life of conversion doesn't happen in an instant. It's a lifetime journey. But it'll keep you interested. It'll keep you drawn on. And I think that's the permission we have to give to people. Come on in. The water's fine. Nothing's quite clear. But let's walk together. We'll find the way together. That's church.
Why did you become a priest?
I actually think I became a priest for myself. I wanted to believe that it was possible to live and to share my gift, inviting people into the water to share that same experience. And I'm pretty honest with them. I tell them about my life of anxiety. I tell them about my life of lust. I tell them about my life of selfishness. And then they can actually get comfortable with me to say, oh yeah, well, I have that too. I think that transparency is what really opens doors.
Absolutely. Jesus didn't call perfect people. He called people who, by being with him, moved to a more perfect imperfection of self.
The Christian life is not problem-free. It is filled with problems. We like to say to our people, come on Sunday and celebrate the lows of your life so you can discover that someone's helping you lift your head a bit.
Do you enjoy being a priest?
Every time somebody comes in and sits with me, that's a whole new opportunity. When I was a kid priest, I was scared to death. I didn't know what I was going to say to them. Now, I don't have that fear anymore. The anxiety is gone, and so I can really listen. And when I listen, I'm tapped into the heart of what we're going to talk about.
What is it that we can say to the people who live on this path that we're driving down? What is it that we can make them aware of to help them to recognize that chocolate ice cream tastes even better when we know Jesus? The Yankee game, for lack of a better expression, you probably have a team up here that you associate with, but sitting at the Yankee game is even more enjoyable when we know Jesus. How do we get that message to all of the people who have yet to embrace that?
We have to be able to slow down enough to notice what our experience is. So I may be in the game. I'm worried about whether my kid's going to get the popcorn. I'm worried about whether or not the guy's going to hit a home run. I'm not enjoying the moment. I'm not living the moment. I'm living yesterday or tomorrow, but I'm not in today. And today is where we're going to meet the Lord. One of the greatest reasons people don't connect with a church community or any kind of community is they don't know each other. It's when we get to know each other, our blessings and our sorrows, that then we can really tap into the energy and the turf out of which our spiritual life is going to grow. It's getting to know each other. The stereotype of church is one more thing I gotta do. We don't appreciate it as a community where I can really come to appreciate how I'm living all of this stuff.
What allowed you to become the priest that you are today?
My inferiority, that I felt like I wasn't good enough.
It's part of the human brokenness. It's part of the original sin component where we just don't feel we're good enough. And how do we offset that, particularly in the philosophy of today's world? To try harder or to avoid, which both bring back negative return.
Because trying harder is saving yourself. Giving up is pure desperation. And I think that's one of the reasons people don't come, because they have given up. That's why people don't believe. They've given up the feeling, the passion, the search. It's when you can say, it's bigger than me, but there's someone here nudging me on. And I think the reminder of the Sunday gathering, it's like somebody whacks you on the side of the head and says, all right, yeah, trouble. But aren't we all there? And let me show you the way. The second part of the Eucharist is very important, and we miss it. We get the word. Since the Vatican Council, we figured out the scripture as Catholics. We never knew it before. Now we know it. But we don't know about the mystery of the Eucharist. And it's not just that Jesus comes to be on the table with us. It's that Jesus gets us to sit at the table. When I put my life on the table, I'm willing to take my desperation and let it be broken up so that some courage can come out of that. Now, how do I do that? I bring bread. What's bread? Wheat that gave it all away. What's wine? Grapes that gave it all away. So, yes, I'm reluctant. Yes, I've given up. Yes, I'm jealous. But I'm ready to try to give that over to God and let Him bring me the courage and the strength and the humility and the hope that maybe it's possible.
And I think the key word there is surrender. It's to have the courage to be able to surrender ourselves to God.
Ultimately, that's the whole piece of it.
To surrender.
Jesus says at the end of, as He's dying on the cross, into your hands, Father, I give you my spirit.
I surrender.
This thing is, people think it's kind of tame and this church experience is gutsy.
We'll now go upstairs to the church and we'll end with just some conversation and with prayer. I'm looking at that picture in there of the children, and it's all shapes and sizes.
They're actually kids who were in the parish.
Really?
Yeah, the guy who did it took pictures of them, and then that's where he got them, yeah.
And are they still part of the parish?
They've all grown up and moved away, most of them.
Picture that the church was filled and every pew was filled. What would you say to them to help them know that they matter?
God is woven inside of us, but it is in very natural clothes. And that's the heart of that's the mystery of Christianity, God in the flesh. The key gift of God's glimmer inside of a very natural setting.
I just would like to end with prayer.
I think that's a good thing for us to do.
Dearest Father, thank you so much for Father Paul, who truly is shepherd in his priesthood. We ask for your guidance and grace in all that we do, and we thank you in Jesus' name.
And gracious Lord, I thank you for these last hours of being able to share how mystery appears in all of us. Your mystery of hope and love and healing and strength. And I rejoice that even though I am growing old, that your Spirit continues to fill me with the hope and the courage that perhaps has deepened in my life. The hope and the courage that you will be with us where 2 or 3 are gathered, and that you will show us the way. Amen.
Amen.